Coach David here with Build with a Plan. Hopefully, everyone got a good idea of why I do what I do from the last podcast. As you know, I grew a business, I made lots of mistakes. I went up and down. I know what types of pitfalls and what types of challenges that we run into as business owners. So I want just to make sure that everyone out there can hopefully avoid some of the mistakes that I made and not pay the price that I did. Okay? So today we are going to talk about the plan. Build with the plan. What is the main reason why I named this podcast Build with the Plan? Well, we're going to talk about it right now. As in the previous episode, we talked about what were one of the main reasons why my business did not become a successful business. And let's just confirm for a second. What I mean by a successful business is a business that is profitable and a business that can run without your day-to-day input. And why that's important and why I make sure that that's my criteria as to a successful business is because if you want to sell your business, you need to be able to have it set up in a certain way so that it's actually worth what it is worth, as opposed to what you think it is worth and finding out that it is worth far less than it was or is, just like I did when I went to sell my business 8 years ago. So let's talk about that. Again, the success of a business is two main parts that make up a successful business. The first one, profitable business. You need to have profit margins that allow you to make money. That isn't just enough money to pay for yourself and pay for the services or the products and all your staff and all your overhead. At the end of the day, there's no money left in the bank. That is not a profitable business. You want to make sure that your net profit is somewhere at least around 30% or higher if you can. So that's the first criteria. Like I said, the second criteria is this business needs to be able to run without your day-to-day input. That means that decisions are being able to be made on a regular basis that you do not need to be part of. There are functions of the business, whether it's performing the service, if you're a trades person or something like that, you are not on the tools. You do not need to show up on the job site and then make sure the job gets done. You've got staff in place that are taking sales calls. You have the staff that are estimating. You have the staff that are fulfilling the service. And then you also have staff or a process to make sure that that job gets billed. And all that happens without your direct input. Once you've got that set up as a business, then, in my opinion, you have a successful business. So again, what we're talking about here is build with a plan. Now, most of us out there start out with a plan in our mind on why we want to do this business. And the why is big. As I mentioned before, my why is because I made a ton of mistakes. Yes, I grew a business to a decent level, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a successful business. And when I wanted to go sell that business, I wasn't able to get what I think I should have gotten for it with the 25 years that I put into it. So I'm here to help all you entrepreneurs out there to build your business to the point where you are successful. And if you choose to sell it, that you're able to get the money for it that it is actually worth and not just for your client list. Okay, so what does build with a plan look like? As I said, most of us have a plan in our head. We know, okay, we want to get to this certain amount of revenue. We want to make sure that we're taking this amount of money home. And it'd be nice to have this many staff so that, we can make some decent money. But that is the majority of the time, that is as far as the business owner goes. They don't really sit down and go, what does this actually mean to me? What do I need to do to make sure that I have 3 employees, that I'm able to take home my 100K a year or whatever it is that you want to take home. So let's think about this for a second. So now you want to go, okay, so that's what you want to be. You want to make 100K and you've got 3 employees. So what does that mean for revenue? Well, that all depends, right? You need to know what your profit margin is. And then you need to go, okay, well, if my profit margin is 30%, okay? So that means for every 100,000 that you sell, at the end of the day, you've got $30,000 in profit, okay? Or let's go back a step. So that's your net profit. Let's look at the gross profit. Okay, so that's before your overheads and all that type of stuff. So cost of goods sold. So you're selling it, let's say it's a 50% gross profit margin. So that means that you need to sell, if you sell $100,000 worth of service, and it costs you $50,000 to perform that service, you now have $50,000. Okay? Let's say that's over the year. So it's $100,000, you've got $50,000. Okay, so now you want to take $100,000 home. Okay? So now you're looking at, well, I got to be at least $200,000, and that gives us our $100,000. But now we got to look at, now we need to take the overhead, the cost of your vehicles, any depreciation, all your bank fees, any other loans or commitments that you have, your cell phone bills, all these types of things still need to come out of that 50,000 on every 100,000. So when you think about it, you now need to be able to go, okay, let's just make it very simple, and 50,000 or 50% get you everything but salary. Right? So you're going to be paying someone, if you're a tradesperson, let's say you're an electrician. Now you have a business. Now you're paying that employee at least $80,000 for the year. Pretty decent wage. You're at 100, they're at 80. So in order for you to take home your $100,000 and your one employee to take home $80,000, that's $180,000 over and above what it would cost you. Okay? So now it's 50,000. You need to be at $400,000 in revenue to be able to pay for your employee and pay for yourself. And these are the types of numbers that I want you to be thinking about. Instead of going, well, I just hire more people, I'll be able to make more money. You need to do the math. You need to sit down and figure out, okay, if this is where I want to go, how much sales do I need based on my profit margins? Do I need to get to be able to pay for that person and pay for myself and have profit on top of that? Now, this is what you should be doing on a regular basis, and preferably at the beginning of the year. Where do you want to be at the end of that year? Actually, more likely, you want to know, where am I going to be in 5 or 10 years, and reverse engineer that way. If you want to be stepping away from your business in 5 years and still be able to earn a revenue, now you need to replace your position, all the roles that you fill. Who's going to do that? What's the salary you're going to pay that person? What does your sales process look like? What does your conversion process look like? Now, when you start looking at all these different things, now you can see that you can't just wing it. You can't just shoot from the hip and hope that you're going to get what you want to get, okay? You need to be putting this down on paper. Now, it doesn't have to be this elaborate plan. Pardon me. It doesn't have to be this elaborate plan where you've got this 50-page business plan. It should be at least one-page document that says, okay, here is where I want to go. This is what I want to take home. This is what my profit's going to be. And this is, the staff that I have hired. Now you add that up and go, okay, now I know what I need to have over and above my costs. Okay, that's the difference between your net profit and your revenue sales. That gap there is what's going to allow you to pay for that extra person so that you're able to step back. But again, If you don't have that figured out, you don't have that written down, how do you know what revenue goal that you need to be at to make sure that happens? You might think, oh, if I hit 250,000 or 750,000 this year, I'll be able to pay this person and that person. I'll be able to take home my $100,000 or whatever it is at that point. I'll be able to pay for my vehicle and this and that and the other thing. But the reality is 750,000 may not even cover your salary based on your profit margins. That's why it is super important to make sure that you have a plan, you have stuff written down so you can make educated decisions, so that you can make moves that benefit you, that get you closer to your goal. If you don't know what that goal is, you're not going to attain it by just throwing out a number. Well, $750,000. That's what I used to do. I was going to, if I had X amount per month, I'm laughing. But I didn't factor in, well, what is the cost of all of this, right? What is my cost of goods sold, service sold? I didn't have that figured out. I didn't know what that percentage was. I didn't know what my net profit margin was when you put in all your fixed costs. When you put all that in there, when you realize that maybe you're only at a 10% profit margin. And that's even before you pay yourself. So if you are only at a 10% profit margin and you want to take $100,000 home, your sales need to be at $100,000, and that's just to cover your 10%, your $100,000. So I'm here just to talk about the reality check to make sure that you do have something written down, that you have a plan, that you know real numbers, that you have a scorecard, that you are going to make sure that you're going to achieve that. And this is why most business owners can't get where they want to go, because they don't have a plan. And that is the why behind why I called this podcast Build with the Plan. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to get there. And another expression I've learned in the past, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. It's the same thing with this. If you don't know where you want to go with the business, then anything you do will get you there. But it won't get you to a successful business that you can have a succession plan. Now, whether it's bringing on somebody so you're able to step back and still be able to receive income from that, or if you're able to sell it to some of the staff, transition it to one of your kids, or if you want to then sell it. If you don't have the plan figured out, you don't have a successful business, then every one of those will not be a reality. You end up either just closing your business, or you're going to be just selling it for the client list, which will be far, far less than really what it's worth, especially after you've put in, sometimes decades of sweat and tears to get that business to where it is, and you're not able to reap the benefits because you didn't set your business up to be a success. So stay with me as we continue with these Build with the Plan episodes. I'm going to talk every episode on this, on different aspects on how you can build your business. Yes, it has to do with the plan, but there's a lot of strategies that you can employ once you start knowing where you want to go. All right, until next time, Coach David out.